Dolly is out checking, I think, the sign-in sheet. Dolly, is it? Okay.
No.
Is this on now?
No.
Okay.
Couple more minutes.
Okay.
You want it on now?
I'll talk, I mean, my voice usually doesn't need a microphone, so.
That's true.
Hello, everybody, how are you? If you want to speak tonight, if the section of the board meeting that is the open to the floor, each speaker allowed up to 5 minutes, can you make sure you sign in? Town Clerk Dolly McGuire has the sign-in sheet, so we just go in order of who signed in. And I will tell you this, if we get to your name and you're like, I decided I didn't want to speak tonight, we don't hold you to it. We give you a pass. But if you do want to speak, or you consider it speaking, please sign in.
Any takers?
And we will start in about 3 minutes. I'm very impressed, Rick and Art, that this Vosburg pump station for the sewer plant is packing people in. It's very newsworthy. I give you guys a lot of credit.
I thought it was a slight contract.
Oh, no, I got it.
I think I'm on the end of my rope anyways. Jump up on that side over there.
He's all here.
Okay.
No. Are you interested in speaking this evening? I think I'm not.
Okay. Okay. Okay, you're there. So Bridget?
I don't think you're allowed to be within a certain amount of feet from me, Craig. I don't think you're allowed to be within 5 feet of me, Craig. I found a picture of you and James Jackson.
Oh, he's here?
Alright, how is our Mevo camera setup looking? How to sync to Facebook Live and also YouTube Live, okay. Yeah, and it is 7:30, so any minute now we'll start.
Should be ready in about 30 seconds.
30 seconds, all right. Make sure people watching at home live don't miss anything. era. All right, well, let's bring the Thursday, May 2nd, 2024 Webster Town Board meeting to order. The Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of
the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Donnelly, can you do roll call, please?
Supervisor Flaherty.
Here.
Councilwoman Cataldi. Present. Councilman Cahill. Here. Councilwoman Wynn. Here. Councilwoman Wright. Here. Town Attorney Janeski.
Present.
Okay, our first agenda item tonight is what I always say is my favorite part of the town board meetings. It's open to the public, where anybody can take the podium for up to 5 minutes to speak about anything their heart desires. So tonight, it looks as though we have approximately 6 people signed in, and we'll go in the order that they signed in. And first up would be Kevin Lockhart.
Hello everybody, how are you doing tonight? Thank you for letting me speak. My name is Kevin Lockhart and I live over on Kittleberger Park. I want to address the theme of tonight, which is this issue with District Attorney Sandra Dorley, and to address the agent provocateurs that were sent here on behalf of the City of Rochester to antagonize and harass us and attempt to denigrate our public safety apparatus in Monroe County. I am upset with District Attorney Dorley's behavior because it was disappointing, but what's more important than a polite district attorney is a district attorney who is tough on crime. And the City of Rochester and their affiliates are actively working against the public safety, which is the top priority of all the residents in Monroe County. And the City of Rochester, the Rochester City School District, the Democrat Committee, what they're doing is actively antagonizing and trying to break down the public safety apparatus by sending agent provocateurs, crisis actors, to our meetings to provoke and antagonize and generally harass us. So I'm just asking everybody to generally ignore the trolls who are here to, again, harass and antagonize us, and I'm sure by the end of the night they're going to prove my point. So normally I would speak more towards the end and respond to what they're saying directly, but today I just had to stop in pretty quickly just to let everybody understand that I'm well familiar with these people. I have some open cases against them right now. I've been filing some crime reports against them. These people are bad faith actors, they're criminals. We should largely ignore them. They're huge into the hoaxes, into the hysteria. Just general people that I think are engaging in bad faith. When I talk to everybody across Monroe County, their priorities are always public safety, education, clean neighborhoods, transportation, low taxes. But that's not what everybody thinks. There are a few radical actors who are contemptuous and have a disdain for the whole system. And they may be loud and antagonistic, but they only forward their campaign through force and fraud. And I just want to make sure that everyone clearly understands that we're not going to tolerate any type of unlawful or non-peaceful assembly in Webster. And as I've been telling them over this past week, if I see you committing any instances of crime, which I've documented on many occasions, I'm going to turn you into the sheriffs, like I've been doing, and we're going to keep the peace around here. So please keep that in mind as you proceed to harass and antagonize us for any number of reasons that you can conjure up. And just know that I'm on to all of you, and that this campaign of yours will certainly lose, especially because we're not going to concede any space to any of you at all. So have a good night here, welcome to Webster, and feel free to see yourselves out afterwards. Thank you.
Thank you, Kevin. Okay. Next up, and I hope I pronounced names correctly, Bethany Boyer. Did I say that correctly?
Yeah.
Okay.
My name is Bethany Boyer. I live in Hamlin, New York. Last week, after recent illegal and unethical actions of Sandra Dorley were publicly revealed, many people have been commenting on the patience and professionalism of the police who were involved. However, the response by the Webster police is not something to celebrate, and in fact shows the corruption, favoritism, and white privilege that is endemic to systems of power. It's offensive to commend how any of the Webster police officers handled the situation when Sandra Dorley committed crimes and ethical violations. The officer who tried to pull over Sandra Dorley had zero control of the situation. Sandra Dorley went into her house and her car over and over despite repeatedly being asked not to. No one from the chief to the supervisor to any of the officers responding, none of them said she needed to be arrested, even though she committed crimes that warranted arrest. The chief of police even told the officer that it was up to him whether to ticket Dorley. That is not effective or responsible leadership. It is, however, the type of application and difference that Sandra Dorley evidently was counting on and knew that the chief would provide, and he delivered. The favoritism clearly demonstrates that the public cannot trust any of these individuals. If it were anyone else, the police would have detained Dorley and given her a breathalyzer test because of her behavior and demeanor. The officers didn't demonstrate that no one is above the law. They provided Dorley the privilege she demanded, only giving her a speeding ticket, not even a ticket for refusing to pull over, let alone arresting her. The only reason this came to light is because the body cam footage was released. Otherwise, Dorley would only be accountable for the speeding ticket and not the rest of the flagrant ethics violations, legal infractions, and arrestable offenses she committed, and that the Webster police let it slide. The Webster police didn't do their job. They did less than bare minimum and made it clear that Sandra Dorley's actions tied their hands in terms of giving her professional courtesy that ordinary people never are given. Forget about the fact that if anyone else did what she did, especially black and brown folks, they would have been thrown on the ground and arrested at best. The hypocrisy, double standards, and corruption is super obvious and tragically
Take your time, got you.
This is so compared to the way the Webster police did basically nothing in the face of Sandra Dorley breaking numerous laws, including endangering the public with speeding and refusing to stop for a police officer. Compare that inaction and preferential treatment from the Webster police to the excessive force and brutality the Webster police inflicted upon peaceful protesters just a few years ago when they were speaking out against, ironically, disproportionate and preferential policing and systemic racism. The illegal and unethical behavior of Sandra Dorley and the permissive preferential response from the Webster police proves the point. The Webster police are just as complicit in the abuse of power we all witnessed from Sandra Dorley, and they need to be held accountable as well.
Thank you, Bethany. And next up, Robin Wilt. And then this may be the first time, Robin, you're the town board member in Brighton, correct?
That's correct.
Guess what?
Me.
First time in my 4.5 years as supervisor that we've been honored to have another town board council woman. Welcome.
Well, thank you so much for having us here. We are appreciative of the opportunity to address you in open forum. And as you know, I do sit on a town board, and so I'm very familiar with the duties of the town board. And my comments will speak to that. So, according to the Webster Police Department mission statement, the primary mission for employees of the Webster Police Department is to serve the community of Webster and its people. The mission statement continues, we are called upon to enforce laws and ordinances passed by the representatives of these same people. The department is committed to service and to maintaining our high standards in response to the community we serve. However, on April 22nd, 2024, in the case of the traffic stop involving Monroe County District Attorney Sandra Dorley, the Webster Police Chief and responding officers did not properly enforce the laws and ordinances passed by representatives of the people of Webster. In fact, they knowingly disregarded those laws and ordinances to help Monroe County District Attorney Sandra Dorley avoid accountability for her crimes and abuse her authority, thereby undermining confidence that the enforcement of those laws is equal in the town of Webster. From the moment Police Chief Dennis Holmeyer was engaged by District Attorney Dorley over the telephone, the community witnessed a two-tiered system of criminal justice being invoked, where Dorley's race, class, and status as the Monroe County District Attorney, as she so arrogantly proclaimed, determined how she was treated by law enforcement. On body-worn camera footage from the incident, we witnessed that, 1, even though the supervising officer and the officer who initiated the traffic stop insisted that Dorley's failure to stop was considered an arrestable offense, neither actually considered arresting District Attorney Dorley. Secondly, that given DA Dorley's belligerence and failure to comply with any of the commands of the officer who initiated the stop, a sobriety test was warranted. Yet the responding officers did not administer one. Hence, the public will never know if Sandra Dorley was under the influence or otherwise impaired that evening. Thirdly, the initial responding officer allowed District Attorney Dorley unfettered access between her vehicle and her home, where she could have concealed evidence of additional wrongdoing. Again, the failure to limit her freedom of movement, even though she was being lawfully detained for a traffic violation, means that the public will never have the complete picture of what criminal activities District Attorney Dorley was engaged in on April 22nd. The handling of District Attorney Dorley clearly constitutes a case of disparate treatment by the officers, as the officers knowingly allowed DA Dorley to disregard the laws and ordinances that are made for all of us. I only shudder to think what would have become of a person of color who so brazenly ignored the Webster Police Department's obvious attempts to detain and investigate them during traffic events. For her role in this incident, District Attorney Dorley is facing investigations from the Monroe County Office of Public Integrity in conjunction with the Monroe County Board of Ethics and the New York State Commission on Prosecutorial Conduct. The town of Webster, however, and the Webster Police Department have been silent on what investigations they intend to conduct to try to restore the trust and confidence of this community that a two-tiered system of justice is not the standard operating procedure for this police department. For the sake of justice for all, we demand that the town of Webster open an investigation of Police Chief Holmeyer and the Webster Police Department in its handling of the traffic stop involving District Attorney Sandra Dorley. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Robin. Okay, next up is Tiffany Porter.
My name is Tiffany Porter, I live at 30 Watch Trail Airport. First of all, to address the first person that spoke, this person has attacked 2 group members, and both are women, and sent one to urgent care. So if you want to believe a person that needs women, go ahead. I'm here tonight to talk about the blatant abuse of power that Sandra Dorley displayed as a district attorney and the grace that she was shown by the Webster Police Department. In 2020, as the town supervisor knows, we protested at the corner down the street, and we were not shown that same grace. All we had were cardboard signs and a megaphone, and the Webster PD jumped out on us and arrested some of our comrades. However, in this case, they allowed Sandra to not only not stop, but to pull in her driveway, get out her car, curse out the officers, and then prosecute herself for a ticket, because that's what she did. She wasn't arrested. We got arrested, and my comrades had to deal with those tickets in the Webster court for a year. We want to know how is this acceptable? Will this board allow the Webster Police to show this type of discretion? Sandra got on the phone and called Dennis. Will we as citizens be able to call Dennis as well so we can get out of our traffic tickets or wherever else?
Good question.
We would definitely be asking that question to you guys every week that you guys have this open forum until y'all hold all of the people involved in this accountable. Because that day, the Webster Police did not do their job correctly. Anybody else, and that's why we were standing on that corner protesting, because anybody else would have, if they were black, probably would have been dead.
Yep.
They would not have been able to tell their story.
Tell that truth.
They would not have been able to put out an apology video, and they would not be on the line saying the Webster PD did a great job, because they didn't. They did not do their job. So will you all hold them accountable for not doing it? Or could you put out Dennis' phone number so we can all call Dennis when we have an issue?
Call him now.
Thank you, Timmy. Okay, I think, is it Nicholas Will? Is that correct?
Yes, Nicholas Wilt. Is Webster a police state? A few years ago, when I was arrested on a wrongfully issued warrant, where a Rochester court got my appearance date wrong, we got a preliminary answer in the affirmative. The Webster Police Department had invited the Monroe County Sheriff's Office to help police a peaceful protest in support of Black lives. The protest itself was prompted by disproportionate police responses to other peaceful protests, where, for example, pedestrians were cited for jaywalking despite crossing the street with the light. In a police state, holding a sign that is objectionable to the police can make one subject to arrest. Despite being told that Rochester got my appearance date wrong and being provided documentation to that effect, I got a free ride downtown, and I got strip searched on the way into jail. Not on my bucket list then or now is having to strip down and have a sworn officer of the law look up my butthole because a city court got a date wrong.
Really?
And if that comment makes you uncomfortable, I challenge you to imagine the discomfort of having those indignities visited on you by armed agents of the state. A word of caution to those who celebrate those interventions by the police. They hinder your freedom. Either you express a thought that contravenes the will of the state, or more likely you limit your thoughts and expressions to those that are palatable to the state. Either way, freedom suffers in a police state. Fast forward to this week when the Webster Police Department saw a car driving 55 and a 35 and ignore their lights and siren. To say that a double standard was enforced throughout Sandra Dorley's encounter with the police would be an understatement. She called the chief while being pursued and asserted her position as district attorney to evade accountability for her criminal actions. Her abuse of authority is well documented. But the complicity of the Webster Police Department also needs to be examined. A fully functioning police state gives access authority to every level of the executive branch. A Webster that is not a police state would enforce the law with an even hand.
Thank you, Nicholas. Okay, next up is, I think it says Craig D. Carson. Did I get that right?
Yes, sir, you did.
Okay.
Greetings. Greg Carson here. So I think everybody knows what happened is despicable. I think everybody in your minds and your hearts, you kind of recognize that something was questionable. Someone felt they were above the law. The question is, who is the town of Webster? You know, who are you guys? As a board, as a community, what are you going to do about it? You know, are you going to do like City Hall? Because City Hall kind of immediately went into a session. You know, they convened on the point that they were going to get an investigation, you know, brought based upon this situation. They made that happen. Would the town of Webster do the same thing? who is this town of Webster? This town of Webster, as it relates to the people in the board, the populace in general, cowards, or a group of people that are going to be vigilant about making sure that the police chief, Sandra Dorsey, whomever, or actors involved are actually held accountable, some pressures put on them, and the good people that I bet all of you believe that you are, actually are considering the work that you're doing related to this. Are you actually going to make a difference, make a change? Who are you? As you all sit up there, I see you guys have different positions: Deputy Commissioner of Public Works, WWTP Chief Operator, not sure what that means, Supervisor, and other different fancy or minor titles. Who are you in relation to this situation? We every day play certain roles in a specific kind of narrow and even provisional kind of situation. You know, this guy right here may do a great job as it relates to the chief operating position that he holds. But the question is he going to speak up on an issue like this as it concerns all of our citizens and the integrity of this time, and the integrity of these different offices we're talking about, particularly the district attorney's office? Who are you guys when it comes to that topic? This country, and of course this county, has a long tradition of racism. I need not go into the details. Everybody got some level, even if it's mediocre, education on the topic. But we don't really want to continue into that type of social condition. It's absurd. And it's something I don't think you guys can prove me wrong, maybe you'll prove me right, that we want to change that social condition. We want transparency, we want accountability, we want integrity, we want professionalism, and so many other words that can be kind of synonyms that complement that type of point. But again, who are you guys? Are you going to sit here, kind of blindly look at this, blink 1,000 times and kind of hear half of what we say, or are you going to do something? So now I may have missed it, and I'll be transparent on my end. Maybe you guys did do something. Maybe you guys are full speed ahead on making something happen. If you are, great. I've got a round of applause for you when my hands get off this board. But if you're not, please do the right thing, right? I'm sure you said it to your kids. I'm sure you say it to your spouse. I'm sure you say it to whomever you supervise, whatever the case. Did Donald Trump, when his silly ass is on TV, I'm sure you say the same thing about him. But we need everyone to be consistent and step a bit outside of the roles that your titles and your plaques hold, and do something that'll make a difference. Because of course, we all know, regardless of what folks say in political conversations, we all know what happened was wrong. So I ask that you guys think about that, push a little further, because if we're gonna have a good society that's filled with integrity, it's because we all make that sacrifice, regardless of the background, regardless of creed, regardless of our preconceived notions. So that's what I would ask the town of Webster. Are you guys cowards? Are you gonna step up to the plate as it relates to getting justice straight, hit it out the park? My time.
Thank you, Greg.
Not go to the
Okay,
RCS
that
and do that.
is all the people that signed in to speak tonight. Is there anybody else that has changed their mind, or did anybody else come in after Bridget and
I
sign in?
think there was one person who came in after, I'm not sure if they're interested.
Have I heard? I don't know, that beam always, would you like it? And ma'am, could you give us your name and where you're from, because you didn't sign in, so.
I'm sorry, I was a little indecisive.
That's okay.
But absolutely, my name is Sharice Marie, 3896 Dewey Ave. I'm here today for ethical reasons. I really believe in following the process. I really believe that things are not changed overnight. And until systems and processes are changed, I believe in following the processes to allow the system to hopefully work. A part of the system is the town of Webster, is this body that I'm standing in front of. I would agree to a lot of the points initial officer who stopped Sandra Doherty. I think he did a great job in doing his job. The things that he was not aware of, because he was on the force, as you know, the camera footage said, less than a year. He didn't know, right? Whatever that means, we can only insinuate, because she was very upset that she was stopped. So, I'm gonna assume it wasn't the first time. I have a senior going to college, and I tell them all the time, do the right thing. No matter what anyone else is doing, do the right thing. You stand on integrity, you stand on your honor, and you do the right thing, and the right things will happen. I know it's not your guys' job to speak on the ethical behavior of Sandra Doherty, and I'm not here to speak on it either. I support the investigations that are going on, but I do request that the town of Webster consider looking into the police department and what type of systems are backdoor systems or traditional systems that aren't technically a part of the system, may still be functioning, and how can we make that different to make sure that nobody thinks that they are above the law because their police department is on speed dial. Thank you.
Okay, anybody else have second thoughts? All right, thank you very much. We'll move on to the next topic tonight. We have two board minutes that were considered for approval. I have reviewed, I take that back. I haven't reviewed the first one because I was not here on April 18th.
I did. I reviewed the minutes of the April 18th meeting, and I would move that we approve those.
Second. Councilwoman Conley?
Aye.
Councilwoman Wynn? Aye. Councilman Cahill?
Abstain.
Councilwoman Wright?
Aye.
Supervisor Flaherty?
Abstain. And then I was here last week for a workshop, and I reviewed the minutes. I make a motion that we approve those. Second.
Supervisor Flaherty?
Aye.
Councilman Cahill?
Aye.
Councilwoman Conley?
Aye.
Councilwoman Wynn? Aye. Councilwoman Wright?
Aye.
Patty, was it you this week?
I did. I reviewed the bills, and everything was in order, so I would move that we pay the bills.
Second. Councilwoman Conley?
Aye.
Councilwoman Wright?
Aye.
Councilman Cahill?
Aye.
Councilwoman Wynn? Aye. Supervisor Flaherty?
Aye. And I have reviewed the prepaid warrants as submitted by Paul Evans, the Director of Finance. I make a motion to approve those.
Second.
Supervisor Flaherty?
Aye.
Councilwoman Conley?
Aye.
Councilman Cahill?
Aye.
Councilwoman Wynn? Aye. Councilwoman Wright?
Aye.
And I also reviewed purchase orders as submitted by Paul Evans, Director of Finance, and make a motion that we approve those.
Second. Supervisor Flaherty?
Aye.
Councilwoman Wynn? Aye. Councilwoman Conley?
Aye.
Councilman Cahill?
Aye.
Councilwoman Wright?
Aye.
And I'm bummed out because I really wanted to get the WWW information. That's you, right? Yeah. All right. No.
Rick's got the title, chief operator.
Well, the next resolution, one of you two or both of you guys, Rick and oh, okay, all right. Well, I'll let you guys have at this next one, if you could explain before we vote on it.
Okay, thank you. Sludge contract, obviously we know it's an issue, not an issue, but sludge hauling is a big issue with our budget for the wastewater plant. One of the driving factors of the new upgrade was to kind of be the drivers of our own future in that. And this was kind of a telltale sign why. So we had the contract come up for bid. We had one bidder. That was it. And I think they know it, just my opinion. So we got a nice new contract from them following it with a bunch of changes that they want to incorporate. But again, we're not in a negotiating position because it's the only game in town. So prices went up, $15 a wet ton up to 145 now. That's from 65 4 years ago, it's 145 now. We thought we'd be smart and throw in, well, during this contract, we would also be producing a Class A fertilizer further along, and we want two prices. One for when we do have that, and actually they put that in as what we're currently doing. So really there was no benefit to hauling it to a landfill that they showed us. They also increased the minimum tonnage. We hit it at 11 wet tons, and anything below that we get hit with a $95 surcharge. They've increased that to 14 wet tons now that we have to stay above. Or if we're going to be down there, they're going to institute a fuel surcharge, which we didn't want to even get to that for a while. So needless to say, we're putting this forward with the agreement that these were put in. It's a 2-year term, and hopefully after that, we'll be looking elsewhere with our pipeline.
Is there an out clause in it?
There is, but if we decide because of something happened, we want out, 90 days, I think? And then we got nowhere to bring it. So,
And Paul, I think this is about $300,000 or $400,000 a year we spend on sludge hauling.
Yeah, it's 350 at least.
And that obviously, as we just said, Rick, I guess at least for the next year will go up because
about $45,000 a year now.
It's interesting because, I mean, for anybody who follows these board meetings, especially the last couple of years, this is such a big part of why the technology part of the wastewater treatment plants project. And we went through this a lot back in, I don't know, middle of 2022 to show how the certain technology would dry out the sludge and get it, instead of being whatever 30% water down to 10% pellets almost. And we wouldn't be held hostage, I'll call it, to the fact that there are closing landfills, and if the landfills don't open up, and believe it or not, new landfills are not a really big thing right now, the landfills will be hundreds of miles from here. And if we're only getting one bid now, we will be held over a barrel. It's a monopoly, and we saw that a couple years ago. You predicted it, you showed all the stats, and that's why we decided, one of the main factors we decided on not just doing an asset renewal in phase 2 of our sewer plant, but new technological advances that would get us revenue, but also get us some major cost savings. So that project is going on right now. It won't be done and probably start enjoying the savings of not having that kind of sludge taken away until mid to late 25 is my guess. But the light's at the end of the tunnel on this. And we have made the moves on this board over the last couple of years with guidance of Rick and Art and Paul and legal counsel, and of putting us in a position where hopefully this will be the last time we ever have to have a sludge contract where Rick or Art or Paul is saying, this is the best we can do. They're the only ones that bid. Our landfill closed. The only other one is 500 miles away, which the farther you got to haul it, the more it's going to cost. So I apologize if that's TMI, but I think it's important to bring back up.
So Supervisor, put that perspective. So Maine has banned all sludge from their landfills. So the processing plants in Maine are having to haul to Canada. They're hauling to states in the south, and I can't only imagine the cost of that. The other thing I would like to mention is the hard work and negotiation by Rick and Charlie and by Mary Ann trying to keep up with all the changes that we're going through. It really came down to about, what, 2 o'clock today? Yeah. So they really rounded up.
Any questions or comments by the rest of the board?
I would move to award the bid for sewage sludge hauling and disposal for the town of Webster Sewer Department to New England Waste Services of Maine. Is that Maine Incorporated? And have the supervisor sign contract for said services.
Second. Councilwoman Cody?
Aye.
Councilwoman Wright?
Aye.
Councilman Cahill?
Aye.
Councilwoman Wynn?
Aye.
Supervisor Flaherty?
Aye. Well, like I said in the last one, for people who watch these consistently, last week we had a very nice presentation by the Barton and Judas crew. Was it Aaron?
Aaron and Ron, correct.
Ron.
Yep.
Okay. And I think this resolution has to do with that presentation. I don't know if you have, just saw it last week.
Any questions?
What's it?
No.
I was gonna say, I don't know how much we just saw the presentation last week. We talked about having this contract done this week, so we could.
Well, and for those who didn't watch last week, it involves Shipbuilders Creek and some very deteriorating infrastructure, and it needs remediation and needs it quickly. This is something we've looked at least for a couple of years. So I think we all agree that it's time to move forward, and let's see what we can do about it. I would authorize the town supervisor to execute a contract with Barton and Judas for an engineering alternative analysis and CFA funding application assistance for East Branch Shipbuilders Creek remediation of stream bank erosion and exposed sanitary sewer infrastructure at a cost of $20,500.
Second.
Councilwoman Cody?
Aye.
Councilman Cahill?
Aye.
Councilwoman Wynn?
Aye.
Councilwoman Wright?
Aye.
Supervisor Flaherty?
Aye. Aye. Okay, well, I know, nobody from MRV is here tonight, right?
That's correct.
So I'm gonna hand that off to Art, Rick, and maybe even Charlie to explain the next one.
I can give a little color background on it, and then I'll turn it over to Charlie and the speaker. So, Bosworth Pump Station is the town's largest pump station. We had MRB perform a professional evaluation on the facility, I'm thinking almost 2 years ago, almost 3 years, honestly, the time was just flying by. The pump station is in dire need, and I don't use the word dire lightly. There are numerous valves that don't work, pumps that are on their last legs, and electronic controls that we don't dare touch. So as we've gone through this, we've looked at the possibility of submitting for some grants, and the first step of that is the secret process. And I'm going to now turn it over to Charlie.
Well, I won't comment on the project itself, but I will say, yeah, I recall this has been around a while too. I think all of us actually. There are a number of agencies, and the list is attached, quite a few interested development agencies that we will be sending out notices to seek their input. And they have 30 days to respond, and hopefully within 30 days we will be able to make at least be on the way for a secret determination and proceed with obtaining grants and further continuing the project.
Yeah, I think it goes with the town's, really the town board's premise the last few years, that, you know, the money's out there, let's try to go get it. And this is the first step of lining this project up for some grant money.
And I will say that I think Patty and Paul and I got some good news today from Empire Facilities Corporation, EFC. They're the agency that is granting, giving, whatever you want to call it, the town of Webster $20 million for our wastewater facility, our sewer plant renovations. That was what Governor Hochul announced 2 weeks ago today at the Coke Fairlight groundbreaking. But within our call Zoom meeting today with some key people from EFC, we we are able to apply by June 14th for a WIA grant through EFC for the Vosper plant, or Vosper, pump station. So that was good news. And obviously the timing of this 30 days, and this is a type 1 action, Charlie? Okay. We also will then hopefully be able to do something by June 14th, will be a deadline, but then we'll also do a robust look at the CFA deadline for July 30th and what grants, maybe WQIP or whatever, might apply to this project. So this is the start. So this is the start.
I can certainly speak to the dire need for this project, as I have been down to the Vosper pump station a couple of times with my boots and whatever other gear was necessary. And Art sent us all the video a couple weeks ago, yet another pipe that was leaking. So this certainly is something we need to get moving on. You know, a lot of people will look at what we're doing and say, well, you're taking on an awful lot right now, can't you let this wait for a little bit? But as you said, Supervisor, we're up against deadlines for grants. And if we don't do this now, then we have to wait and we can't apply until next year. So it's important that we stay on top of it.
And to your point, we've waited too long.
Yes.
You know, a lot of these projects that we're undertaking are, you know, I give you and your team a lot of credit. You've been bringing this to not only our board, but previous boards, with respect to the upgrades needed, you know, preventative maintenance, and it's just gotten to the point where, you know, all these projects have come to an head, you know, in the last couple of years. So I'm proud of your diligence and this board's cooperation in moving forward with these much-needed projects.
Thank you, Councilman. And it really is, it is unfortunate that everything is hitting at once. However, the sanitary system is not something that you can kick the can down the road.
Correct.
We're an environmental business, and these stations, they don't operate, as you've seen. You know, we had 8 feet of water where it shouldn't be, in that basement. There's no stopping the flow.
Right.
Absolutely, there's no stopping the flow if something breaks.
And it's just great that, you know, also the timing as far as the availability to, you know, look to get some grant money. So it's very good time.
I think Art and Rick have been very measured in how they've come to us with these things. The one resolution I vetoed was they wanted to do one where we put a moratorium on anybody using their toilet in town for a month, and I said, I don't think we can do that. They didn't lobby that hard on it, so.
I must have been absent at that.
Yeah, you were. No, I was, yeah. So anyway, I'm gonna make a motion that the Webster Town Board declare its intent to be the lead agency under the State Environmental Quality Review Act for the purposes of the Vosper Pump Station rebuild, and to begin the 30-day coordinated review process on this Type 1 action.
Second?
Supervisor Jardy?
Aye.
Councilwoman Detalli?
Aye.
Councilman Cahill?
Aye.
Councilwoman Wynn? Aye. Councilwoman Wright?
Aye.
All right, I guess I'm the liaison of the court, so I'll make a motion to approve the following items for recycling from the Webster courts: a Canon DI 320 copier printer scanner, asset tag number 04783.
Second.
Supervisor Flaherty?
Aye.
Councilman Cahill?
Aye.
Councilwoman Detalli?
Aye.
Councilwoman Wynn?
Aye.
Councilwoman Wright?
Aye. And going with that, the next one is on me to approve the following items for auction from the Webster Police Department. 4 patrol vehicles as listed on our agenda. I would move that we send those to auction.
Second.
Councilwoman Detalli?
Aye.
Councilman Cahill?
Aye.
Councilwoman Wynn?
Aye.
Councilwoman Wright?
Aye.
Supervisor Flaherty?
Aye. And that concludes the formal agenda for tonight. We will go to our round table, which I think will maybe be interesting tonight. We'll start with Mr. Canale down there and his Boston Bruins. Are you gonna, tonight they play?
Yes, they do.
So you wanna get out?
Yes, I do.
You start the round table.
All right, obviously, got some great news last week about the 20 million, because We were kind of 0 for, 5, 0 for 3 on WIAs and 0 for 2 on CFAs. It was kind of getting disheartening that they felt our project didn't meet the criteria for any grant funding, but I do want to say that how Supervisor Polari, how you orchestrated and sat back and waited and gathered the troops and bided your time, but played it out well for us to wind up. And I gotta just say, it was definitely, we failed trying to get all this, but I think how you handled that and moved along and were patient, I think that was key in getting that point done. Just want to put that out there.
You thought I was patient. Wow, Rick, thanks.
Well, you,
Measured?
You were restrained, you showed restraint.
Woo, Rick,
Yeah.
boy, you have an interesting definition of patience. But thank you, Rick.
he was not visceral.
It was not visceral.
Right? Well said.
You know, I would echo Rick's thoughts. It was well done. Well done.
Yeah, Tom, we had a great, whatever. We had a great meeting this afternoon at 1 o'clock with New York State. They seemed anxious to move it along, but I think by 3 o'clock we had in our inbox the agreement, which I've already taken a look at and Charlie will review. So they're anxious to get it done, and
I will look at it.
I think we'll be able to.
And I'll look at your comments as well in here.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I think we'll be able to start cementing claims as soon as we'd like to.
I think it was shocking, pleasantly shocking to Paul and Patty and I that it looked ridiculously simple compared to the usual New York State grant reimbursement and processing. But I said, let's see what the contract looks like and see if Charlie, Paul, is it as simple as they made it sound? I'm very interested to see what you guys have to say. Jen?
I would like to commend Paul for getting the audit done on time, but actually a few days early, and for Dolly for having a perfect report card on her audit. It's wonderful to see that, and we will miss you as you move on to the next journey in life of retirement. Thank you.
She's not going anywhere for a while.
And we got a little while, but
Okay.
it'll be July, it's already May, July will be here before you know it.
Dolly and I talked today, I think you'll still see her in town hall past July. But that's another story for another day.
My turn. I want to thank the community for coming out to the Drug Take Back Day on Saturday. We had a really successful event where we collected over 400 pounds of unused and expired prescription medications. It's something that we do twice a year. It's a county-wide effort, and it's very much appreciated. Everyone who comes up said they're thrilled that we do this, and they're grateful to be able to rid their homes of these medications, and we're just happy to help out.
I had, well, first of all, I don't think the community was aware that the last 2 days we have had in Webster a statewide animal control officer seminar and meeting at the West Webster Fire Department. It was organized and put on by Barbara Hollins, who is our animal control officer, and her assistant Tracy, and the Department of Ags and Market. And it was a very, very comprehensive, I don't know what you want to call it, program. It was more than just classes. It went on for 2 days, roughly from 8 to 5, the last 2 days. I attended briefly yesterday. I went there this afternoon, and former Judge Coratori and I were to have put on a mock trial. But there were so many questions that it ended up being basically a give and take with both of us, and we did go through all the procedure that you would go through in a trial. But in any event, I was just very impressed by the turnout, by the depth and the breadth of the program. And I think it's something that we should be proud of. We put this on. Again, this was for the whole state. So
Do you know how we were chosen to do that?
No, I don't know. It was quite a few years, Barb said that it had happened, I don't know, a few decades ago. When Tom Link was here, she was assisting him, but I don't know how we were chosen. They did a great job.
Good.
We should be very
That's
proud.
Barbara had a lot to do with that, because she's pretty respected.
Oh,
in
yeah.
the state, Barbara Holland, so. You know, usually I don't talk at the round table, you know, but I gotta say this before we move on to Jenny. I'd be remiss if I didn't have a shout out to the assessment department staff here in Webster. They have been a key player down for 4 months, and they were still able to meet the deadline May 1st for the tentative assessment tax roll for this year. And that is not a minor feat. And I'm not going to name them all because I probably butcher it. Wonderful job. Wonderful job. Jenny.
Okay, again, first of all, with collaboration and dedication, together we can reach the star. And I have a privilege to travel to Albany with my friend Virginia McIntyre. She's a county ledge, you know, and on Wednesday, March 20th, to advocate to increase the aid funding and aid incentives for municipalities. And I'm happy to announce that this year, the DVO state budget add additional $50 million to the aid funding. And that could be used for water, sewer, and other projects in towns. Like I said, you know, it's a lot of work and it's a lot of team effort and everything, and well, I've always heard, so that's important. And also too, there are a couple of things I would like to say. May is Asian Pacific American Heritage Month, so since I'm Asian, I would like to give that a shout out. But I love this country. And please come out and support your Webster Library and the Webster Museum. They exist because of all of you. And I thank you for all your support. And have a wonderful night, and God bless America.
I have nothing. I know.
What you had.
I do appreciate the people that did show up and gave input during the meeting. Respect all their input, and you know, it's been a long week for Webster. It really has, and you know, I commend everybody for the recent break. I really do.
Well, it's too bad, because I agree with you on that, and I mean, the last speaker, Craig, I was like, I wish that guy would run for mayor.
Yeah.
He was, there was no notes in front of him, he was nasty, but, yeah, speaking from the heart. But you have a great suit.
Thank you.
Dolly.
I just want to mention that the town and county tax installment number 4 was due on April 30th. However, the town clerk tax receiver office will continue to collect taxes until May 31st, and at that time, all the taxes will be surrendered to the Treasury Department.
All right. Well, that concludes tonight's meeting. We are adjourned.
Now, you're gonna miss my shenanigans. And Tom Ford.
Joe.